Hey guys, here's my gear for today. I had this brush tucked away in a travel bag and was happy to see it. It is a Fanchurian and I really like the handle, pretty colors and good ergonomics. I wish it were a little bit longer, but still pretty nice. And this is an early Fanchurian, maybe even version 1. Get him back in the water and we continue on with the Nacet. This is use number 373 that we're going to be going and doing. This is fine accoutrements, and this is American Blend. This is their ceramic soap bowl. They call it a bowl. And I bought these years ago, and I'm just a sucker for their ceramic bowls. Whether it's the one by Tobacco, but especially the ones by folks like Mitchell's Wolfat because of that great antique look that it has. I just love those. And putting pucks in my Old Spice mugs, it's such a deep connection to shaving history and heritage and that sort of thing. And these are pretty inexpensive bowls that Fine made that fit their pucks exactly. And they have a little ridge on them where you can stack them up, and they're color coded as well. They are probably not too many out there. You might be able to find a retailer with them. They did discontinue those classic pucks, of course, and before that they kind of discontinued the bowls, and so there may be some stock out there, but it's definitely not something that's being made. Let's put the razor in the blade. I used this Nacet blade with the Stirling stainless steel razor, which is very aggressive for me, and it kind of messed up the 3 dots. Where these 3 dots are is not a problem for most razors, but I guess with the Stirling it is. I think I'm gonna have to buy some kind of etching device, and maybe over here I will try to, etch or what is that? Almost like a tattoo needle emboss. I can't remember the name of it. Engraving, embossing, something like that. And that way it won't wash off if it's an etching type thing. But you can still see the dots, but very faintly. One of them is most clearly seen, and then remnants of the others. But of course, we still have the bent blade portion there, and then the end is bent as well still. In a way, that's been fortuitous because it's a excellent identifying mark here for the just verifying the authenticity of the blade, because there are definitely people who have, not too many, just 1 or 2 that have claimed that it wasn't the same blade. All right, but I think all it takes is watching some videos to see that it's the same blade each time. I'm choosing this razor here with this flatter trajectory. This is a 1934 Gillette Aristocrat. It was made in the US, and this is the first twist to open razor that came to the market. The 1936 was another version that was very, very similar to this. There's a few differences. One of them was it has a slightly thicker head. And so I think with proving that the shave with the Stirling razor that's quite aggressive may not, and it wasn't a very enjoyable first pass, but it also wasn't a very enjoyable against the grain pass here at the 5th pass time slot there. And I thought, let's work on trying different geometries of the blade, see if I can play around with some of the different razors that I have that offer different flexing options. And so this one has a pretty flat trajectory. If one really bends the blade and the edges of the blade are smoothed out, maybe that's not going to be as efficient. So I decided to go with a more flat, what I perceive to be a more flat trajectory. All right. Get my face wet. We have filled up the 40 milliliter jigger And then we'll subtract at the end and see how much water we used. Blade is ready to go. My face is wet, so let us. And I did sprinkle a few drops of water here just a couple minutes ago, but I mean, it's not, I would not count that as bloomed. It just wasn't very much. So this is basically an unbloomed puck, and I've learned that you don't have to bloom fine. It is a hard triple milled puck, but you don't have to bloom it. Like 15 seconds is usually all it takes. So let's start at the 30 mark there. Now this brush could be different. These tips do gel just a bit. And so it's possible that, now look at all that that's coming over. And there's 15 seconds of loading. So let's just see if that is, and this hasn't been used in months. I wouldn't call Fine Accoutrements an artisan because most of the scents that he puts out are dupes of existing colognes out there. And I believe this is Rive Gauche by Yves Saint Laurent. And I believe that's what American Blend is. The Snakebite is just pure menthol, so that's not a dupe of anything. The Aquamarine is an original scent from them. But other than that, I believe they are all, and it's great because Executive Man is platinum, is Fine Accoutrements platinum, and so what if you want Executive Man? I'm sorry, Creed Aventus, Stirling Executive Man, Creed Aventus, Fine Accoutrements, platinum are all the same scent essentially. They're all based off of Creed Aventus. What if you wanted, now Stirling performs really, really well. And I think it's got a more intense scent than the actual platinum scent from Fine Accoutrements. And so I don't use the platinum very much. I use the Executive Man instead usually. However, they've got other ones. And what else do we have? Gray Vetiver is a scent by Tom Ford, I think, and that one is the fresh vetiver that they have, that Fine has. And so who wouldn't want that amazing scent in a triple milled puck with great performance? I mean, it's just kind of a win-win. And a bunch of their scents are that way. There's a lavender pour homme that is the lavender scent. Fine does have a new formulation since the factory closed down that was doing these hard pucks. Fortunately, the hard pucks are going to last a long time, so I may never run out of the hard pucks that I've collected. But I did buy one tub of the new soap base that's a crope. And it's a good performing crope. It's pricey though. And so in general, my take on that is don't bother unless they have a scent that you can't get anywhere else. It's pricey, but a little did go a long way. So at least it's not wasteful in its priciness. It will last you a good while. Look at that slick lather. And we have put a little over two syringes, which would be 4 teaspoons or about 22 milliliters. The old syringe that I used to use. The syringe adds droplets better for fine tuning on the brush, like after I've mixed up the lather. That's the one failing that this jigger has. Does not do the, 3 or 4 droplets action very well. So because of the exorbitant price, I think it's $27 or something for the Fine Accoutrements softer soap. If you can get the scent somewhere else, then my advice is to do that. However, if scent is one like the fresh vetiver. That's Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver. Nobody else makes that, and so if that's the only place to get it, it's not a bad buy because I think it'll last you long enough to where the cost will be divided up over months and it won't be too bad. But definitely, if you are going to buy platinum, for instance, I would advise you to get Executive Man from Stirling instead of the Crope from Fine Accoutrements. It's going to be half the price and very close performance. I mean, you might not even be able to tell a difference. Okay, so this brush has a lot of loft, and so you can see the bloom of the knot gets pretty big. Look at that performance there. The elasticity there is nice. And so this is a big splay, comfy brush here. All right. Almost too big, really. I might have to find an O-ring for this brush. Tips are pretty soft. I'm kind of glad they're not too spongy. They do have a little bit of give to them, a little bit of a light sponginess because they are gel tipped. They have gel just a little bit. And we've still got room to add water. So we can see it gather around my goatee. And this scent is just one of my favorites. So let's see. We're looking at a little over 24 hours. The Nacet at this age, and indeed after like 50 uses, it started to really prefer 1 day of growth instead of more than that. So this is a 24-hour growth plus an hour or 3. No, actually. Oh. Plus about 7 hours. All right, so let's see. The beginning's probably going to be a little bit tuggy, but I've discovered that if I just do kind of longer strokes, focus on just one pass with that first one, then that takes the edge off. And it may be tuggy, but it doesn't last long. And then the next pass is so much nicer. Now, the catch is, will this razor and this blade be able to get this area cut closely? And that is the challenge of this blade now that we've gotten to this age. I had to start doing an against the grain pass right there to get an acceptable shave. So here we go. Not going to focus on the buffing very much, just going to kind of move quickly along. But habit, muscle memory sometimes makes me buff in an area. And this is not uncomfortably tuggy, just a little bit tuggy. I mean, most guys would definitely have changed the blade by now. But I am proceeding on out of pure scientific curiosity. How far will I be able to go? And a little half rinse. And more lather. You can see those tips sticking up like antennas. I definitely could use more water, but I've found that if the first one's a little dry, then a lot of times the rest of them will be nice because you can kind of leave water on your face and the lather just kind of smooths out a little bit more. Brush feels great. Definitely felt plenty of stubble left over. So let's kind of repeat. Yeah, see, this is a lot more comfortable. Most people would not have a problem with this level of discomfort because it's a very small level. So not bad for the first twist to open razor. They only made it for about 2 years before they switched gears. So these are hard to find. It took me a while of looking before I found it. And they are often mistaken. Indeed, one of you viewers out there was the one that told me that my 19th, oh, it looks like my camera mount is lowering itself a little bit. Do I need to see if something needs to be tightened up? All right, looking good for a rinse. You know, I wonder if the with the grain pass just isn't very productive anymore with this razor. I wonder if I just might as well, instead of doing 2 with the grains, if I switched to a cross grain as the second pass. Now, if I ended up doing 2 or 3 cross grain passes, then maybe that would be the best way. Wonderful slick lather here. Let's just remind myself about, I mean, there's a little bit of density there, a little bit of cushioning. You can, when you try to squeeze the lather quickly, you can feel it resist you, but then it does give way. And then as you have the fingertip contact, you can just feel how slick it is. And that's why this is a performance soap, one of my favorite soap bases ever. I really wish that Fine Accoutrements had not copied the Spearhead razor case, because that kind of makes me reconsider them a little bit. But in terms of their soap, it's good stuff. So now this is the third pass. Yeah, I wonder if I can just drop that second with the grain, because I bet it's just not able to do too much. So maybe switching to the cross grain earlier will save me a little bit of time and closeness and all those things. Pretty comfy at this point. And yeah, I am very likely not going to be taking my next Nacet once this one dies. I don't think I'm going to start another marathon Nacet. I will probably focus on marathoning other blades, or just using nice fresh blades, ones that are under 20 uses. Because I do enjoy those shaves. All right, we'll do another cross grain pass as the fourth pass. And yeah, you see how much lather we have, and we loaded for 15 seconds. So this soap definitely does not need to be bloomed. I mean, you just don't. I've got tons of lather with just 15 seconds with a wet brush on it. Even before the hard soaps were the only ones that I would bloom, because I've read from many vendors, Will at Barrister and Mann especially, who talked about not blooming soap because it does something chemically to the soap that kind of reduces its power and increases its waste. So especially if you have a crope consider not blooming that, not soaking it at all. And then and you know what? It held true for me one time. I had a WSP soap, or it could have been Lather and Wood. Years ago, and I didn't know enough about blooming or not blooming, and so I put some water on the top of the soap, and it's a crope, it's not a hard soap. And I maybe let it sit there, maybe a 3 or 4 millimeters of water inside the soap tin. And I got out of the shower, and it had eaten its way through the soap, obviously, deconstructing the soap, and it was very wasteful. I probably used up 2 weeks worth of soap with that maneuver. All right. Well, there we go. I think the rest of the face is feeling pretty good. We can take a little bit of the stuff here. And now, how about we try that against the grain stroke? Now for this, I'm going to make sure that I don't have the bent side. I don't need that. Well, this is definitely more comfortable than the Stirling stainless steel razor. Wonderful slickness. And hey, if you want to get back into your bowl and just kind of feel around, you know, go back and hit other areas. Now, if you have a little bit of lather under your comb there, you can do it backwards like that. Feel around for some spots that need a little bit of work. And if you've got a nice slick soap, a lot of times you can just hit spots over and over. And you are protected. And you'll be just fine. Oh, the slickness here, the secondary slickness, as I'm kind of rubbing the lather all over, it is very enjoyable. And here I am with a comfortable face, no irritation after that. 2 passes with the grain, 2 passes cross grain, and then a touch-up pass here against the grain, and then just kind of fiddling a little bit around. The cut in certain areas right here is phenomenal. It's remarkable. There was a little patchy area to the side, and I felt like if I really wanted to, I could change my technique a little bit, keep the skin stretched, and then move the skin over just a bit, right? So where this part moves over a little bit, becomes firmer a little bit, and then I probably could have eliminated that part as well. So really happy with the closeness today. This razor, the first TTO, the 1934 Gillette Aristocrat. And it is an open comb, as you saw. Wonderful feel, nice heft, balance. The knurling here is just perfect. It gives you a great grip, but it's not edgy and grabby like some of the more modern counterparts are. Just a terrific piece. History and function all in one. And it shaves well with a newer blade too. Now the scent of this soap, the American Blend, is light and around me, but it's a great part of the shave. It's kind of supposed to be easy going. Now I do have the splash there, and I could go get it, but when I walked in here with all my gear, I forgot about that. And so I've got this Tuscany in here that I use often because I do like the scent, and it's a great one to enjoy as I fall asleep, that sort of thing. It's not punchy or anything. shake it up. I don't think you need to shake this one up. I don't think it has anything in it that needs that. But I think sometimes I need to do it by habit because I do have a few that need to be, and sometimes then I forget. And we have gotten a nice comfy shave. I'm not getting very much burning at all. Close shave. The Nacet keeps on going. How about that? I'm gonna rub some on my forearms so that I can carry on the scent as I wash things. Whatever's on my palm here is gonna kind of dissipate. I like Tuscany. It's changing a little bit. It was more funky and powerful when I first got the AS. This right here. It was for a long time on Stirling's clearance page. They phased out that scent. And I'm glad I was able to get a couple of tubs of the soap and the splash and a couple of balms because I do enjoy it. It's weird that they have such a big inventory, but I guess nobody was buying it. They have such a big inventory, and one of my favorites just decided to get rid of it. Now, maybe it was maybe there was an ingredient that became pricey. Who knows? Those kind of things happen too. Instead of just demand being very low, it could be that the price of some piece of it became cost prohibitive to continue the inventory. But I got a feeling it just wasn't one that was bought a lot, because when this aftershave, when the Tuscany products went on the clearance page, including this, it took them a while to sell off. And this was the last one. And I think it was for $12.50 or something. They were selling it, and it stayed on there for months. May even still be there now. All right, well, basically 6 passes of five passes of shaving and plenty of lather. 2 or 3 passes left here in the brush and bowl together, and it held up wonderfully. Just terrific. Great performance. Nice creamy feel. This is one of those that can still give you good slickness and hold the water and still maintain a little bit of a creamy feel to it. And that's why it's just one of my favorite soap bases. They patterned the soap base after tobacco. I don't know years ago if they were able to reverse engineer the tobacco formula, or if they found the same company that was making tobacco and were able to buy and use that formula. I don't know how it happened, but that was his general story and goal, and so it's I think it's terrific that you have a great performer like tobacco, but the scent is often very polarizing. Lots of people out there don't like it. I enjoy it, but if you don't like it, then fine. At least with the hard pucks, while they were in existence for several years there, they gave you several different options. Instead of having to use tobacco for that performance, you get that same performance with these other options, other scents. This brush does splay very easily, and the tips do get a little crispy because, as you can see, they are gelled and sticking together a little bit, so when they dry, they get a little crispy. I like to leave them alone. I don't like to play with it and risk breaking off some of those little micro tips, because that is the softness that you're looking for, and at least is my educated guess. But just dropped it on the towel a little bit, and this is a brush that has such easy relaxation because of how high it's been lofted, easy backbone, that I do like to back it off a little bit instead of pressing quite so much, and then I get the feel of the sides of the bristles. Back off a little bit, and that focuses the tips more. I also will probably add the O-ring to it to kind of rein it in a little bit. What I didn't finish saying was that on eBay you can very often see a razor like this for sale, and it's really a 1936. It has the little bit higher head there, and otherwise it's really hard to tell the difference. If you can get them to take a picture of the underside, there's a little difference in the way these rivets look But otherwise, if you get used to the appearance, the scale of this, the width versus the height, then it's easy to tell them apart once you've kind of seen them. I believe I also have published a YouTube video about these, and so if you search my channel for 1934 Gillette, and that'll probably be all you need to type in. And I have the 36 as well. The 36 is a little better shaver in my opinion, and so if you get one of those and realize it's not the 34 because maybe you're a history buff and you want to get the first one, keep it and enjoy it. It's a great shaver. I think it shaves a little better than this one. It's just not the first. Yes, I did not add any more water, so 22 milliliters is the water we used today for 15 seconds of loading, and we had so much lather. It's a nice concentrated soap. These triple milled soaps, that's the way they work, very concentrated. The Tuscany aftershave is working very well with the American Blend Rive Gauche soap scent. Very nice transition. They must have some common pieces to them. Work very well together. Well, that is our show for today, if we call it that. Such enjoyable nose experience today with both of these scents. The brush, wonderful to use. It's a beautiful piece just to hold and look at. He does such great work. He's got many options I've seen over the years of the black, if we want to call this a ferrule, and then a wooden handle. I like a lot of his pieces that are that arrangement. Especially when it's that dark mahogany look to it. And the razor, that's in contention. I'm going to put that on the list of ones to use with this Nacet. And then I'm also going to change and not do that second with the grain pass. Switch immediately to cross grain, and who knows, maybe wouldn't it be cool if then I could just do it in 3 passes, or maybe just 4 with no touch-ups or something like that. And there we go. I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, and I hope that there's been something in this video to help you out. You guys take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.